It's again interview time, and today I have a very dear friend of mine here. His name is DMJ, and I will be asking you a lot of questions, so I will be firing away. I hope you're ready.
I'm ready. Thanks for having me, Walesca.
Thanks for coming.
Can I call you by your real name?
Sure you can.
Hi, world. Can I call you by your real name, world? Hi,
World? Hi, world. So, I have a lot of questions. So first, what is your name? Because I think that's a nice story.
Well, my full name is David Michael Johnson. Yeah. But for work, I like to go by my initials, DMJ.
So this is kind of your artist name, and...
Yeah!
Okay,
for now, yeah.
So, where did you study?
I studied, that's a good question, because, I studied officially. We always think that where we studied is university or something like that. I studied at New York University. I studied acting there. But my education really began years before with my sort of theater and arts class on the weekends. I was like 10 years old or something in Columbus, Ohio. It was at Columbus Junior Theater of the Arts. And that's where I really began, Columbus, Ohio, where I'm from. The Fort Hayes Career Center. So I went to high school for like theater, sort of like Fame, a little bit like Fame. Yeah, so it was kind of cool.
So, where did you get your education from?
Well, after starting out there at Fort Hayes in high school, then I went to New York University, studied at the School of the Arts there, and then I studied acting. So I went, where did I study acting? At Circle in the Square Theater School in New York City, which was lots of fun. Yeah, so I went to NYU, and I went for 3 years, and then I didn't finish my last year.
Oh my God.
It was a 4-year program. You want to know why? The second year I started working in shows.
Okay.
In New York.
Is that normal to start in the second year, or would you say that was kind of more...
I guess it was kind of pretty awesome of me to...
Yeah, that's what I want to indicate. It was like, you got jobs, but it's not like everyone is working.
No. And I just went to audition, and it was at Radio City Music Hall, and I got my first professional job in New York City there at this big theater. So I was working and going to school, and then just the pull of being a working actor and being in a show. I was like, fuck this shit, I'm gonna leave. Now, I have to tell you, I regret that. I wish I would have gone the extra year. However, it was what it was, and if I had to go back to school again, I probably wouldn't start studying theater or anything like that. I would study psychology or something, which is actually what we did the first few years in our acting. It's psychology, really.
It is. So you studied in New York. How was that?
It was really exciting when I went there. It was quite some time ago. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, so to be a small town boy going to the big city was like, wow. And I guess I was so young, and a lot of things came to me very quickly, and it just seemed to be really natural for me. I always enjoyed performing, and so it was really it was like a big adventure. And it happened so quickly and so naturally that looking back on it now, I say, damn, that was pretty amazing what you did. You were 17 years old and went to New York City on your own. So.
It's amazing. How did you end up in Germany? I mean, it's quite a journey.
Ooh, I took a train, girl. I took a train called the Starlight Express. What happened, this is a really interesting story because, important lesson. So I was in New York and I was working and did some shows on Broadway and they were having auditions for it. This is a long time ago for Starlight Express, and I was up in the pool of people and we'd gone through all the auditions and we went to the final call and everything, and all my friends got the call and I did not get the call to be in Starlight Express on Broadway. I was just gutted. But it was great to see them all in the show, and then about 3 months later they called up and said, hello, this is so-and-so, and we'd like you to play Electra in the international tour of Starlight Express. My bags are packed, baby. So I got to do that, and out of that failure, we went to London, rehearsed in London. We went to Japan, did the show in Japan. We went to Australia, did the show in Australia. And just to end the story, when we were in Australia, the German producers were there, and then they decided they were looking for more people for the German show, because it just begun rehearsals and there weren't enough people who knew how to do it. So a lot of our people went directly to Bochum, but I went the second year with the first cast changeover. So that was how I got to Bochum coming around about, through Starlight Express.
That's interesting. So you did this tour, and then you continued doing this tour until the point you went to Essen. Is that right?
No, well, first of all, we rehearsed in London for
Yeah.
4 months. Went to Japan, Tokyo, Osaka. Went to Australia, and then the tour ended.
Okay.
And some of the people went directly to Bochum. It was in Bochum.
I see. Okay.
And I was not in the original show. I went as a guest. I went to the premiere as a guest because my best friends were in the show. Actually, it's because of my best friend that I was even in the show. He told him to call me at the end of the first year. Bernie Blanks, thank you, Bernie. Shout out to Bernie. Yeah, so that's how that happened. What happened was the tour was over, and then I went to see the show in Bochum, and it was great because I went to Germany for the first time, and I went to Berlin. The wall was still up. It was really great. And then I went to New York, and it was funny. I was back in New York, and I was working some shows, but I was sort of kind of bored, and like, you know, after seeing the world, I was like. So when they called the next spring to if I wanted to do Starlight again in Japan and Bochum, I was like, yeah. So that's how I came to. I stayed for a year. I did Starlight. I went back to Germany, to America. I kept coming back because I liked the European lifestyle more, and yeah, that's what happened. Out of that, you know, at the time, that not getting that part in Starlight Express on Broadway, out of that, they always called me back to do it. And I never auditioned ever again for it. They just called me for Japan, Australia, called me for Bochum. It's a very interesting story.
So when you were in Germany, what shows did you do in Germany? Because I've seen your resume and you have like tons of shows. What are your personal highlights?
You know, my personal highlight, oh gosh, that's hard to say because, you know, shows are like your children, you know, you can't pick a favorite one. But I really enjoyed doing Rent.
Rent.
Yeah, because I got to do the German.
I want to ask you about We Will Rock You. I mean, you've done it for quite some time, and how did this show change first, and how did you fit the changes, and how did everything work out?
That was a really interesting experience because I was the person I did a long run show for so long. I did it a very long time, I think 8 years in a row. And then another year just coming in guest appearances. It was very interesting, but people always ask, is it hard doing the same thing every day? And the thing is, you're doing the same thing, but it's always different.
Yeah.
Because the audience is different. The audience is a big part of any show, and especially We Will Rock You. And as an actor, you just have to be in the moment and go with the flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a real challenge if we had a new cast coming in and a new person doing a role. Because a lot of We Will Rock You was built on the person's personality, so you might have to adapt what you were doing and something you had done for a whole year before and be open to something new. And at times that was quite a challenge. We Will Rock You is kind of different than a lot of shows because they keep updating it. I sort of liken it to the show was the hardware. The show would get the script would get software update. So like every 1 to 2 years we'd get a We Will Rock You .2 or you know, but it was still the same show. It was just spruce it up a bit. Yeah, it takes a lot of energy doing that show every day, staying in shape to do that. One other thing that was really kind of hard, there are a few of us from the original German cast who stayed with the show quite a long time. And it was kind of hard because we were so protective of our show. And just having new influences come in and just, that was, you know, it's sort of like, you know, if you can imagine being on a television show, a series for like years and years, and like Friends or something, you know what it is, so it's very hard to hear other directors and people come in and give you notes and things like that. But if there's anything I've learned that notes from your stage manager or resident director are very, very important, and for you to take criticism and see where it applies, and maybe it doesn't apply, and just if it does, or even if it doesn't, keep an open mind and just tweak your performance a bit. Because it's their job to watch the show. Making it better in your own eyes, where a director has a plan, and a lot of these shows, Ben Elton's comedy is like, you know, you build up, it's like playing tennis with the person. And if you all decide to change the joke, or add a joke, or add a laugh, it upsets the rhythm of the comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
So, and how do you, I mean, you've been quite some time in that business, and how do you work with the physical aspect of this job? How do you manage it?
Well, I think it's important for any artist, especially actors, to have be flexible and to take care of the body, be in a position where you can almost do anything. I mean, in musicals, we do a lot of dancing as well. But I always enjoyed physical things. That's one of the things I loved about doing Starlight Express.
Okay.
Is with the skating, it's like a sport, and we have this skate training every day. And of course, to do the show like that, you need to go to the gym at least 3 times a week. And the show itself keeps you in shape. But I started that years ago when going to the gym and training myself and making sure I was in good shape.
Okay.
It takes a lot of energy to do these shows.
Yeah. So how did you get your jobs, like in New York? Did you have an agent, or was it just...
At the beginning,
Yes.
they had, back then, it was a newspaper called Backstage. You could look for auditions, you buy it on the street corner. It's like .com though, isn't it?
.com, and
Yeah.
they have like all the auditions. So
Yeah.
it's still the same?
I haven't been in New York a while. On an audition, I had to look at that. And then afterwards, I had agents as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And once you do one Broadway show and get into the world, it's sort of a tight, sort of a small world there.
Also.
You're in a show and you're doing a show, and then you go to the corner deli and get your snack. You see people from other shows. It's like, oh, we have an opening here. Oh, you should send you. It's a lot of word of mouth. And
How was it in Germany? I mean, taking in a lot of history from Germany. And how do you think the whole artist scene and the musical scene, did it change, or?
it's changed a great deal. There have always been musicals in Germany, the state theaters, and but the big commercial boom with Cats and Starlight Express started, at the end of the '80s, and that was something new. These shows so commercialized, so it was kind of interesting. They picked shows that were so exotic, like Cats, Starlight Express. So they needed different kinds of people, which they couldn't at the time find people who could sing and dance and act or roller skate, and so they would import people. Since then it's changed. It's really interesting to meet a lot of musical Darsteller and meet people who saw you, people who had seen us in these musicals. Mark Seitz is one of them.
Okay.
Andreas Wolfgang,
Okay.
I think Florence has said as well, she saw Starlight Express. So these people are seeing you. So it's always important to try to give your best, because you never know who's watching you, who gets inspired by what you're doing. And so there's a whole new second generation, third generation now, people who they have musical study, you can study this Fach now, and a lot of good schools out there now. So there isn't quite the need for... What's really interesting is that now, you see, as far as the types of musicals they're doing, you see a lot of more, it's really darker musicals, but you see, and the American musicals now are just not always sunshine and flowers and lollipops, and a lot of those shows can't be brought over to Germany. People won't get them. It's so interesting, and it's not as bad in America as it is here, that in Germany, there's sort of like these levels of performance, like the real actors think about the musicals and oh, it isn't really acting. And like the classical singers think it's not really singing, and the dancers think it's not dancing. I don't know what the hell they think we're doing, all 3 disciplines. But so you see the other, like the straight actors or the straight theater directors and all, look at different performers differently than I think they should, because we're all making art. And we're all performers, and in America and in England, I think there's more
comments. Everything is the same. You're also a writer, and I want to ask you about your writing. Where did you get your inspiration from? And if you want to, do some.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I'm really kind of inspired by Jonathan Larson, who wrote Rent, wrote it on his own, had his own idea, and did this, worked hard to make that happen. Also by Tyler Perry in America. He started writing his own plays and has his specific market, and built a media empire on that. He knows his audience, he knows what to do. And for me, the older I get, and you realize that you have this little itch to leave something, a legacy or something behind. So I took up a little character from my past when I was growing up, a woman who lived next to me, and written a story about this woman, and it's for the German market and all, and it's great because it's a musical as well. It's in a musical film, which I think we could use as sort of a glee for adults here in Germany, and so that's what the idea is, without saying too much. If you have that little idea in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, oh, I should do that. Write it down. No matter how long it's taking me years to get it to the point where it's a script and sending it out to people, getting the rejections, doesn't matter. Keep sending it out. Find the right people. Tell your story. Listen, there's a lot of bullshit out there in this world. And the difference between the bullshit there and your thing not being there is that people with bullshit have the courage to get it out there.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
yeah, that's...
Yeah, there's an audience for everything, you know.
So what do you think about social media?
I think social media is great. I'm a bit apprehensive about it. Because you're just putting yourself out there so naked. You know, when we're on the stage, we have a character that we're portraying, so it's not really us. Social media is just out there, and it's just what you see is what you get, and learn to have the courage just to put it out there. So I'm gonna sort of step up my social media. You can probably give me some tips on that.
I will do that. And it's actually made it so easy to share with so many people.
This is what's really great, because, you know, before, I mean, a lot of people just watch television. It's just so easy to share your creativity, and it's all about being creative.
People here right beside me, because those people are the real artists.
She's so sweet.
It's like,
Well, thank you, but we're all artists, and I would also urge people who are out there. The one book that I read a few years ago, and I think there's an updated version, is The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. That's her name. Yeah, that's her name. Go to Amazon.com and look upon it, and it's really great because it gives you some steps for realizing if your creativity has been stifled or you feel a little blocked or whatever. Just give it a read, and it really helps artists to have a little bit of focus and, you know, spend time on the artist.
What is your advice you would give a person?
Don't do it. No. So, what is my advice for people wanting to go in? Just make sure you really want to do it. It's a wonderful business, but it's a hard business. And get some training, and when you go to your classes, what I learned more was observing the instructor, teacher work with the other people. Sometimes when you're working yourself, you're into your own thing, and it's a question of accepting criticism and change without getting your ego involved. Just be observant of other people, and when you're learning, and even artists you work with in shows and all, you can take what you like about the performance, adapt it for yourself, but also, and should notice what people who performers you don't like, what they're doing as well. You know, just learn to be observant. Just to keep doing it, and it doesn't matter what production you're in, just do a show. If it's in your community theater or whatever, in school, just keep doing shows, and every show will teach you something else. The most important lesson I learned, I was 10 years old for Walesca, and this teacher wrote after an opening, he said, try to find the art in yourself and not yourself in the art. Try to be an artist and approach from you're doing art and not that putting your ego up front. It's me, you know. Yeah. We have the gift and privilege of performing for people, you know. Yeah. And it's a privilege and it's a duty to do this for people. So you should really take it seriously and not worry about being a star. You know, I mean, if you have the power to move someone with your emotions, you're unstoppable.
Where do you get your inspiration from?
Well, I was really inspired by Oprah Winfrey, who had her show for years in America. She's a media mogul. Go to Oprah.com to get more information on that. There are a lot of podcasts you can see about inspiration and motivation, and they're online, they're for free. Lewis Howes is one of them, School of Greatness. I love his podcast. There's so many resources out there now today. Just pick a subject and Google it or YouTube it and start learning.
Thank you. That's amazing. It has been such an honor. It's so amazing that you've been here, and it's, oh my God, I'm so grateful. Really, I am. This is really cool because you have so much things to say, and your message has to go out, like right now, to everyone. Share this video, like this video, subscribe my channel. If you want to get in contact with the MJ, feel free to contact him. Obviously, just serious stuff. And if you're a producer, also contact him. He has a great script on his hands, ready to produce. Thank you, world!
Thank you, world!
And see you soon!